wanted to get into this breaking story this week in regards to the PGA Tour and LIV and their ongoing court case. This is the antitrust court case ongoing in the United States. Now, keep in mind, all of this information I'm about to discuss is alleged, but evidence has been presented in an American court that is pretty mind-blowing, but not really surprising when you know how the PGA Tour works. So I'm sure many of you have heard some of the PGA Tour players and executives' arguments against the Saudi Arabian-backed LIV Golf Tour, and one of their main arguments is that it's un-American because of the alleged Saudi involvement on what happened back on September 11, 2001, and the attacks that happened against the United States. PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan has used this as one of his main talking points against LIV, painting many of the players who left the PGA Tour not only as traitors against the PGA Tour, but traitors against the people of the United States. So this past week in court, documents have come out that show that the group who call themselves 9/11 Justice, who have shown up to at least one LIV event I'm aware of to protest against LIV, didn't in fact exist until late June of 2022, which coincidentally was around the same time that many of the top PGA Tour players started their exodus towards LIV. There's a Twitter account I follow called @LIV Golf Updates, which is close to 14,000 followers, and in their profile it says not affiliated with LIV. However, whoever is involved with this account has an awful lot of advanced info related to LIV, so I'm assuming it's someone on the inside that's just doing this anonymously. So back on January 4th, LIV Golf Updates tweeted out some official court documents related to the LIV versus PGA Tour case that prove this 9/11 Justice Group didn't in fact exist prior till, I think it was June 27, 2022 or June 26, somewhere late June anyways. And then just by complete coincidence, allegedly, the 9/11 Justice Group has the same consulting and public strategy firm as the PGA Tour. The firm is called Cloud Public Affairs and is based in Washington, D.C. I'm sure that's no coincidence as well. According to Cloud's website, Cloud Public Affairs is a full-service shop that provides integrated, creative, and tailored solutions to national and local clients who have government and public affairs issues. This is on their website. Our team combines expertise and institutional knowledge to shape the conversation and narrative among influencers, policymakers in Washington, and the media. We help clients move the needle and win on the high-stakes issues that they care about most. Well, that's pretty interesting. That's right on their website. Just copied and paste that. Our team has expertise and experience working on complex regulations on some of the biggest policy issues of the past decade. Our network of contacts and experience in media allows us to deliver our clients' message directly. At Clout, we bring experience working on some of the toughest political campaigns and apply those strategies to win those for our clients. The president of Cloud is David Polyansky, who was formerly chief of staff to Senator Ted Cruz, and their chief operating officer, Samantha Dravis, is a policy advisor and strategist who has experience working in the White House, Capitol Hill, and for some of the country's most influential political and public policy organizations. That's from her personal bio. So when you go through the company website, most of the people involved with Clout all have heavy political connections in Washington, D.C. So this isn't like most PR firms or marketing agencies where it's, a bunch of good-looking women with marketing and event management diplomas from your local community college. It obviously goes a little deeper than that with these heavy political ties. So again, all of this is alleged right now, but there is a possibility that through a covert organization, the PGA Tour is funding the anti-LIV protests, paying for the TV time, and then turning around and using the 9/11 Justice Group's existence as justification for the anti-competitive behaviors against LIV. So here's some audio from the 9/11 Justice Group back in July when LIV was playing at Trump Bedminster in New Jersey, where they were protesting outside the golf course. This is Juliet Scalzo, who is the daughter of a 9/11 victim, speaking outside Trump Bedminster.
How much money does it take to turn your back on your country, on the American people? Well, according to certain individuals such as Phil Mickelson, Brooks Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau, Dustin Johnson, and Donald Trump, that amount of money is just a few $100 million. We 9/11 families would trade any amount of money in the world just to see our loved ones again, just to have one last hug, one conversation, one more round of golf. When you partner with a country that stands in stark opposition to American ideals, and often ranks amongst one of the worst human rights abusers in the world. You aren't just playing golf. You're taking a political stance. You're taking a stand that you agree with the actions of Saudi Arabia, or just as bad, that you're so incredibly greedy and callous that you really don't care about these atrocities. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is being allowed to operate on American soil with complete impunity.
I've also seen this same young woman on CNN, and this same audio was posted by the Associated Press, Reuters, and dozens of other local news stations across the U.S. So as someone who has personally orchestrated PR campaigns in the past 20 years, during my music business, do you know how difficult it is to get that type of press coverage? Like to get CNN, the Associated Press, and Reuters covering your protest that had basically no more than 20 people there. This wasn't like some march on Washington with a million people, so of course Reuters and the AP is going to cover it. There's 20 people there. So you have to be seriously connected. So this cloud public affairs company, they're doing a damn good job. Whoever the hell they are, they're really good. So here's Juliette Scalzo on CNN talking about how she wants Trump to cancel the LIV event at Bedminster prior to it actually happening.
I think the 9/11 community, we've been pretty outspoken about our issue here, and I'm very proud to say that I think we've gotten our message out quite far. And our message is on the radar. I'm sure Mr. Trump knows about us. He knows, the letter. He knows how we stand. Now, whether it's canceled or not, I personally don't think it will be. But just the fact that you are, and even the players, that this is blood money that you're taking. Same with him hosting these events. The fact that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, when we have declassified documents that prove their involvement in this, and they're just being allowed to operate on American soil with complete impunity, is just absolutely shocking.
So this is some CI level stuff allegedly going on here, and I stress allegedly. I don't want no lawsuits myself. Also, by the way, I know for a fact the NFL uses ex-CIA agents on their staff for protection and security issues, and anyone who knows anything about the CIA knows that once you're in the CIA, you don't actually leave the CIA. It's pretty much a lifetime membership. And so perhaps the PGA Tour borrowing a page from the NFL's handbook. Now, while most of the PGA Tour media was avoiding this story with a 10-foot pole because they don't want to lose access to top PGA Tour events and the player interviews, our friend of the show, Bob Herrick from Sports Illustrated, did write about what's happening in the court case this week. This same story was also covered in the Wall Street Journal a few weeks ago, so I'm not basing this whole segment on something I saw on Twitter and the LIV Golf tweets. You have Bob Herrick, who's one of the most respected journalists in all of golf, and the Wall Street Journal also covering this, and then Chris McKee on This Week in Golf. So according to Bob Herrick's article, the president of 9/11 Justice is a guy named Brett Eagleson, and in the court filing, Eagleson said his reason for hiring Clout was to, quote, to aid in 9/11 Justice's efforts to educate the American public and key decision makers regarding the continuing failure to hold the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia accounted for the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks, which includes drawing the American public's attention to the Saudi Arabian government's deplorable record on human rights and other areas vital to American interests, unquote. Eagleson said in the court affidavit that he reached out to the PGA Tour at the same time he created 9/11 Justice, allegedly, with an email to Laura Neal, Executive Vice President of Media Content and Communications, and Joel Schuman, Senior Vice President of Communications. In the email, Eagleson suggests it could make a lot of sense for the two groups to join forces. Now, I've already gotten into who I believe actually committed 9/11 in a past episode of This Week in Golf, and it's not Saudi Arabia, so I'll do my best to avoid getting into that again on this platform anyways. But however, for those that do believe the Saudis played a part in the 9/11 attacks, have you ever asked yourself why the United States never attacked or bombed or sent any troops into Saudi Arabia following the 9/11 attacks? Have you ever sat down and researched why the United States chose to attack Afghanistan and Iraq post 9/11, but never once set foot in Saudi Arabia, even though 15 of the 19 alleged hijackers were Saudis? Have you ever sat down and researched or looked into why is that the case? They never went into Saudi Arabia. Have you ever looked into why just 2 nights after the 9/11 attacks, President George Bush invited over and hosted a dinner for Prince Bandar, the Saudi ambassador to the United States at the White House, just 2 days after 9/11? Bush is literally hanging out and drinking and smoking cigars in the White House with Prince Bandar. All of this was documented in Michael Moore's 2000 film Fahrenheit 9/11. This is not a conspiracy theory. President Bush himself and Prince Bandar went on CNN and confirmed, oh yeah, I was at the White House with President Bush. And so he's hanging out with a Saudi literally 2 days after they allegedly attacked the United States. But anyways, in spite of some bizarre circumstance, Jay Monahan and the PGA Tour are clinging to all of that story. So here's Jay Monahan with a performance worthy of an Emmy Award nomination when he was speaking with the great Jim Nantz right here in Toronto back in June at the RBC Canadian Open. I pulled this audio from Sky Sports, but it has to be CBS because it's Jim Nantz, and he doesn't work for Sky. So audio courtesy of Sky Sports and CBS. This is Jay Monahan.
Well, I talked to players. I've talked at a player meeting, and I've talked to a number of players individually for a long period of time. And I think you'd have to be living under a rock to not know that there are significant implications. And as it relates to the families of 9/11, I have two families that are close to me that lost loved ones. And so my heart goes out to them. And I would ask, any player that has left or any player that would ever consider leaving, have you ever had to apologize for being a member of the PGA Tour?
So Jay hitting home with that message right there. It's strange because I literally stood next to Jay just a few minutes after that interview at St. George's on the 18th green, and he was all smiles and in a great mood. No emotion whatsoever that would, insinuate he just had this emotional conversation with Jim Nantz. But anyways, according to Bob Herrick's article, neither Eagleson nor the PGA Tour provided a comment in response to questions from Sports Illustrated asking whether any charitable contributions were made from the tour to Clout 9/11 for Justice 9/11 Inc., or whether any direct contributions were made to the organization from the tour. 9/11 Justice President Brett Eagleson said, quote, "It would be a chilling effect on fundraising if we disclosed our donors," unquote. Well, isn't that interesting? I don't want to discredit the young woman, Juliet Scalzo, because she may have honest intentions in being a part of this group because her father was killed in 9/11. So maybe she has the right intentions in being involved in speaking out against LIV, but the 9/11 Justice Group itself may not be exactly what it seems. So this is some Born Identity, JFK kind of stuff going on right here. This is espionage and spy stuff going on. All because some rich guys like hitting a golf ball around a golf course, and some guys don't like whether who's right, who's signing the check, whether it's crooked American businessmen or crooked Saudi businessmen. But it's all fascinating, and I'll continue to keep you updated right here on This Week in Golf. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Mr. McKee and subscribe to This Week in Golf on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, wherever it is you choose to listen to your podcasts.